Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. Well, I bid everyone a happy Sunday, if it is in fact Sunday where you are at. It is Sunday where I am at. I just wanted to make a very short piece of content today, as it is Sunday. And what I want to look at is a couple of different things. Obviously, we're continuing to watch the ongoing conflict, the ongoing war between the Russian Federation, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, and its Ukrainian proxy forces. Today, as I speak, the flag of the Russian Federation is now being hoisted above the key defensive redoubt of Kurakova. The Russians are in the process of cleaning this town and taking control of it. At the same time, Russian forces, Russian reconnaissance elements have reportedly now entered the town of Pokrovsk. They have not taken the town of Pokrovsk, but the Russians are now close enough where infiltration units can now actively start looking at getting inside of the town and engaging Ukrainian forces inside of this even more important transportation hub for the Ukrainian forces. Now, things are, in terms of the overall both strategic and even tactical situation for the Ukrainians and the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, incredibly dire inside of the Ukraine. Now, not just that, I would have to say that some of the strategic decision-making processes that have occurred by the United States over the last several years have been some of the worst, absolutely worst decision-making processes in terms of geopolitical strategy, quite possibly in the history of the United States. Absolutely the worst. If we go back and we look at, let's go to our other map here. We can bring up the world. If we go back to the One China policy, One China, Two Systems, Taiwan, People's Republic of China, what was the purpose of that? Well, the purpose of that was not to push the Chinese into a direct alliance with the Russian Federation. That would not have been in the best interest of the United States at that time. Now, did that policy work? What was the purpose of it? Well, the purpose of it was try to prevent an eventual Chinese invasion and an obviously active hostility towards the United States, again pushing them into the sphere of the Soviet Union. Now, it worked in that respect, but it gave the Chinese the ability to work out the situation, see what it needed to do in regards to developing a military capacity to eventually subjugate Taiwan. And that's what it has been doing for the last many decades, building that military capacity. Now, fast forward to where we're at now. The PLA, the People's Liberation Army, the Chinese Navy, Air Force, is completely different, has completely different capabilities than where it sat back in the 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s. I mean, it has vastly reshaped itself into what, especially in terms of military capacity, in terms of production capacity, in terms of technology, rapidly advancing. But what has happened, again, the worst strategic blunder in the history of the United States is now pushing Russia into the sphere of Chinese influence, pushing the Russian Federation and China together to oppose the United States. if that military alliance is sealed, which for all intent and purposes it has been, by 2030, in all probability, this will be, meaning China and the Russian Federation, will be the largest military alliance on the planet. It will be and has become and is becoming the greatest adversary the United States has ever faced. Again, if we fast forward to 2030, will the NATO-Ukrainian war be over with? Difficult to say. Probably. And what does the Russian military look like post-Ukrainian war? Well, it's going to be a lot bigger. We know this. It is increasing in size. In terms of capabilities and competencies, it is going to increase. It is going to get better. It is going to adapt a new doctrine, which is happening right now, especially in terms of drones. Allied states such as North Korea are now gaining relevant combat experience by fighting against the Ukrainians. And then by 2030, you merge the Russian military with the Chinese military, not in an actual merger per se, but a interoperational alliance in which you have Chinese technology, you have Chinese industry, Chinese military industrial capacity that is merged with Russian resources, Russian capability, Russian experience. An incredible strategic blunder by the United States to create this atmosphere. For what? For what? For something that already existed prior. The Ukraine was part of the Soviet Union, de facto Russian Federation. Most of them speak the same language, for God's sakes. They're brothers, they're sisters. Again, this was not the conflict the United States should have injected itself into. Should never have expanded eastward and created the situation that exists now. Again, 2030, the track that we are on right now, the United States is going to face an adversary it may not be able to overcome. And the sons and daughters that are in grade school now, unfortunately, will, or your sons and daughters, will be forced, in all probability, if this track that we're on continues, enter into a state of global war against the largest military alliance in history, the Russo-Chinese military alliance. Very unfortunate situation. More to come as always. Thank you for joining us. Have a good day.